black magician who is essentially written out of American history. The clairvoyant who helped to spread spiritualism across America in the 1800s. The self-educated man who started his own publishing company and wrote over 50 books. Whose work in medicine and magic would go on to influence the OTO, the Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor, Theosophy, and the New Age movement as a whole, and who Aleister Crowley would steal most of his ideas from. A man who was an abolitionist and friends with President Abraham Lincoln. Who was Paschal Beverly Randolph? Let's find out. Paschal Beverly Randolph was born in 1825. He was the descendant of William Randolph, who was key in the development of the colony of Virginia. William Randolph's descendants included Thomas Jefferson, Edmund Randolph, the first Attorney General, John Marshall, the longest-serving Chief Justice, and Civil War General Robert E. Lee. Paschal was born a free black man, and after the death of his mother at the age of 16, he would become a sailor, traveling from Europe to Persia and through different parts of Africa. Along his journeys, he would learn about ancient religions and mysticism, and while traveling through Europe, would be introduced to Rosicrucianism. And at the age of 21, he would return to New York before starting his career. Paschal Beverly Randolph would start his personal career in a tour during the 1840s through Europe. During this tour, he would lead spiritual seances, which led him to make friends with people like Eliphas Levi, Freemasonic writer R.H. Mackenzie, and General Allen Hitchcock, who would introduce him to Napoleon III and to Abraham Lincoln, who he would remain friends with up until his assassination. But it was during his trip to then Palestine and to later Egypt that would most influence his magic. Upon returning to America, he would start to give lectures about emancipation and taught that blacks could only truly be free if they left the country and went to India. He would also spend a lot of time teaching freed black people how to read and write. During this time, he would also start to publish his own works on magic, and after being given a charter while he was in Europe, he would start to establish Rosicrucian lodges, the first being in San Francisco, and his most prominent being in Quakertown, Pennsylvania, which is still active today. Throughout Paschal Beverly Randolph's life, he would make many enemies. At one point, being arrested for his medical practice centered around herbalism and the intimacy between two partners. He would make enemies with the early New Age movement, particularly Helena Blavatsky and the Theosophical Society. He would also anger other secret societies for his public teaching of advanced civilizations existing before Adam and publicly releasing secrets held to the ancient mysteries. Paschal Beverly would eventually die in 1875 by an apparent suicide, but no one actually believed that he killed himself. And in a deathbed confession from one of his close friends, Swinburne Crimer, he stated that Paschal was actually murdered by a close, jealous associate. But Paschal Beverly Randolph's wife would continue to publish his work, leaving him to publish over 50 books. His work would influence Aleister Crowley, the Hermetic Brotherhood of the Golden Dawn, and the OTO. And although he is rarely mentioned in his works of abolition, women's rights, and American spiritualism as a whole, his legacy still lives on through all the work he left behind. Know your history.